Hello and welcome to the Education Station. I'm Caitlin and we're here with the editors of our EdQuarter magazines. Joe from Independent Education.
Hello.
Charlie from Education Technology.
Hello.
And Kathy from University Business.
Hi there.
So we're going to talk about some news stories from the past 2 weeks in education that have caught our attention and piqued our interest. Reports are showing that more and more university students are turning to sex work to fund their studies. The Youth Hostel Association reckons they can help get our kids outside more. And Birmingham City University is removing significant barriers to education for potential students. So first up, Kathy, you've got our big story.
Yes, hi. I was quite surprised last week to read a report by Save a Student who found that the number of students turning to sex work has doubled since 2017, which is a really big spike in just 2 years. So they polled 3,385 students at university, and of those, an estimated 4% are involved in some kind of adult work. While 4% may not seem a huge number, that translates to 70,000 undergraduates who are involved in some kind of sex work.
And why do we think that the increase is happening?
There's a number of reasons. There's a rise in living costs and there's a feeling of helplessness among the students. So the main driver of this is a severe lack of financial support in terms of the actual maintenance loan they receive, but also in terms of financial support from their parents who may not be aware of how much they need to pay their children.
I spoke to Vivi Friedgett last week, which you may have heard. She's the CEO of Black Bullion, and they're a financial education company for students. And I was talking to Vivi about the cost of education, and she was saying that there are a number of cities across England, certainly, where a full maintenance loan will not cover rent. So let alone bills or food or books or anything else you might need as a student. But the maintenance loan wouldn't even go that far because the cost of living has risen so significantly.
Yeah, rentals are extremely high.
Absolutely.
And even on campus, rentals can be very, very expensive. Yeah, so the survey identified that students have on average a shortfall of £267 per month. And that's based on an average spend of £807 needed for living costs, with a maintenance loan averaging around £540.
Is there such thing as a hardship fund from the university perspective?
Yes, they do still have them.
They do. Yeah, hardship funds are available. A lot of the time, applying for hardship funds can feel quite complicated. It's another thing that I spoke to Vivi at Black Bullion about, something they do help with, but it can be quite a prolonged application process. You know, you have to do, it is an application, so you can be rejected. I think some universities do have caseworkers that can help you go through the application process, but yeah, it's not maybe as straightforward as it could be, as I understand it.
Is there a specific criteria for a hardship fund? What does that entail?
I'm not entirely sure. I guess you would have to declare all your income and potentially that of your parents. The funds might be there, but I think they're potentially very difficult to get hold of for a variety of reasons.
And yeah, you can imagine a university having a hardship fund for maybe one or two students who have found themselves in difficulties, but not for, you know, a vast majority of students, as the case seems to be now, that might need financial help. That's not sustainable, is it? To have a hardship fund for sort of thousands of students.
I think the basic problem is that there's just not enough funding at the outset for them. Just last week I read about a student who had to turn to a food bank because there were problems with the maintenance loan and hadn't received it. The first 2 weeks of university he had absolutely no money, which is shocking.
I mean, do we know the effect that this is having on students?
I think they can feel really isolated because they might feel that they may not be able to confide in people.
Yes.
It's obviously detrimental to mental health. Obviously, there could have been an incident which may well have been frightening. We don't know all those things at the moment, but we do know that they can feel quite isolated from people. I think some of the advice that's been given is that the absolute minimum, universities could some kind of advice network for them, either on campus or online, that they can go to, and make sure that universities can direct students to sites such as, say, the student who conducted this survey. But I imagine it's very hard for universities to know exactly what's going on. Ultimately, as we said, funding is the major issue. Perhaps it's time that Chris Skidmore should address this funding gap.
And university's hard enough, isn't it, without then bringing this into the mix?
Absolutely. I think the numbers who are struggling with the stress about money is really significant. The numbers are very high.
Well, finance is one of the biggest stresses in human life anyway. Like you say, Caitlin, let alone when you're trying to, you know, you've maybe moved away from home for the first time, you're taking care of yourself for the first time, you're studying. So it's a lot to pile on.
Yeah, it's hard to manage your funds sometime. You could be just turned 18 and you find you've got £3,000 in your bank account to last you for a term, and you could just mismanage that money. There's a whole number of reasons why you could suddenly find yourself in a predicament.
And a lot of students find other part-time jobs hard to balance with their studies because they can be very time-consuming.
Absolutely.
So I guess it's...
And the social commitment.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that turned up in the report, Joe. There are bar jobs around, typical student jobs, but to earn enough money, you have to do so many hours, which undermines the reason they're going to university to learn.
And the social commitments as well that they want to get into.
Whereas I suppose sex working it does encompass a lot of different things. I think, doesn't it?
Sharing intimate photos is the highest portion of students who are engaging in adult work, sharing used clothing and sugar dating.
And there'll be a high return on it for a small time input, I guess.
Compared to flexible as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Moving on to the quote of the week. One independent school has opened up its own innovation school, focusing on problem-solving skills instead of exams, which its director says will resolve huge tensions in education. Joe's going to explain.
Yes. So it's Kelvinside Academy. They're an independent school in Glasgow. They've opened a new school on their campus called Nuvu, the Innovation School. As the name suggests, it's designed to be quite different from traditional schools, with focus on hands-on problem solving and collaborative projects that focus on solving social and environmental problems. So it's quite tech and construction focused. They're going to have things like 3D printers, laser cutters.
Wow, that's brilliant.
Lovely tech. Yeah, and the director of Nuvu, David Miller, is really passionate about the format of the school. And he said, the new innovation school will resolve a huge tension in education. There's no specific target or outcome. The Nuvu model empowers children and frees them from the depressing constraints of assessment. So one of the key parts of it is that there is actually no grades and exams. They just sort of go in there and do this practical work. They create a portfolio and then that gets reviewed by experts just to see that their skills are growing.
So it's competency based. That's growing a lot in education at the minute, isn't it? I see that a lot, especially from the tech angle. See that a lot across STEM subjects. There's a growing movement to get more vocational education into schools to get children this whole skills gap, as it's called, to get children to develop real world and workplace skills rather than being able to sit down and pass an exam. Being able to hold a lot of information in your head isn't necessarily needed anymore because Google. But being able to Google well is a really good skill, really important, and we're not testing for it. And all these skills are, I think, top of the list for a lot of schools now. So it's really nice to see that one school has actually put it into practice, because I think a lot of people talk about it.
I think it sounds brilliant because for a lot of students, while they can rehearse and learn for exams, when they then come to A-level and then have to put into practical reality, they often fall over big time.
It's almost like a return to... I wonder if that's how school used to be, sort of like, in the very beginning when schools were beginning, sort of like a very real world preparation. And then we went down this exam, sort of jumping through hoops.
Industrial revolution model.
And now we're returning.
We've actually got a report coming up in the next edition of ET, in the December issue, all about workplace skills. Google for Education have just released a report called Future of the Classroom, and they report on 8 key trends in education around the world. And they also narrow down their report for a lot of different countries as well, and they've done one for the UK. And one of the top 3 trends in education is actually life skills and workplace prep. So that exact kind of thing. So looking outside our current exam heavy model to train these students in real world skills that they are likely to need in a digitized environment.
How would they move forward after they finished with the opportunity to be exactly the same as mainstream schools?
So this is only available to the pupils at Kelvinside at the moment. So it is still a fee-paying school. But they are actually looking to open it to local schools and like making hubs around the UK as well. So starting in an independent school, but hopefully going to more mainstream and state schools as well.
Interesting movement.
And is this a new venture for independent schools? Are they usually focused on the academic?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's, like Charlie said, there's like a shift happening. And independent schools, they are steering towards that side now as well, and more alternative qualifications.
Our person or persons of the week is from Clapton Girls Academy, where a team won a coding challenge. Charlie.
Yes, they did. So congratulations to the team at Clapton Girls Academy. Their team is called the Hex, and they entered the a coding challenge that was run by Hackney Learning Trust and cloud communications company called Twilio. And they hosted this competition for secondary schools over half term in October, and the students were challenged to apply their coding abilities to a range of different things. And the girls at Clapton Girls Academy won the competition, and they won it with their design for an interactive website which is designed to give personalised advice to young people about their mental health.
So great.
So something really great.
Yeah.
Excellent social impact there. Something that's very topical, obviously, at the moment as well. Something that means a lot to a lot of people. So that was the design that got them the winning title. And the whole competition is part of a community-driven initiative. So it's spearheaded by the Hackney Learning Trust, and it's aiming to promote the development of digital creators in the borough. So trying to inspire a future generation of creators in the digital space, which I think is really great for young people to get involved in, and something that's obviously worked out well for the girls.
I love that coding's having its moment.
It is.
At the moment.
It is. I find it interesting that a lot of people are focusing on the specific skill of coding, and there is some tension there in the industry. A lot of experts are making, I think, a very valid point that certain coding languages we're using now may not last long enough for the students who are learning them now to use them in the workplace, and that it's not a long-term strategy. But on the other side, there's another valid argument that it's not about the language you're learning, it's not about coding per se, it's about what we call computational thinking. So creativity, resilience, the ability to apply your knowledge in a practical manner, and being able to go through a process of trial and error and learn that that's absolutely fine, and use your creativity to, coding is about writing a piece of code or taking apart a piece of code that already exists and repurposing it, seeing if it works, and then patching up where the holes are. So I think that's it's also a healthier way to look at learning development.
I imagine too that it's good to just get in there rather than worry about, is it going to be around in a few years' time. Just sort of, it's better to enter it and then build on your knowledge.
Absolutely, and you'll develop so many soft skills that you can carry on to all areas of life, not just workplace skills. So a really lovely challenge.
And for like the gender angle as well, with women underrepresented in tech. Hopefully this example will just help more people follow their lead as well.
Absolutely. There are more and more women and girls going into coding and going into tech, and it's really lovely to see. And research has been done that shows role models are essential for young girls. So this is great for that. And it's great to have a role model that's a peer as well, not necessarily someone who's older. If you see,
peer support as well.
Absolutely.
It's do really well.
I think that's really nice to see. And hopefully in a few years' time, a few years might be a little bit of happy thinking, but maybe in a couple of generations' time, we can stop talking about women in tech. We can just talk about people in tech.
That'd be really cool.
That would be great. Let's see if we get there. But things like this, you're right, Jo, they really do help.
Okay, moving on to our fun story of the week. How would you like to spend a night under the stars in a national park? The Youth Hostel Association has welcomed a proposal that every child should experience a residential stay in an area of outstanding natural beauty. Jo's going to tell us more.
Yeah, so the government asked for an independent review of our national parks and areas of natural beauty, and they came up with the Landscapes Review, which was published in September, which had lots of great ideas. But one of the proposals was for a night under the stars in a national landscape for every child. So we're talking places like the Lake District, the Yorkshire Dales, Brecon Beacons, all these lovely places.
Favourite place, Brecon.
Is it only children who can go, Jo?
Yeah, how do we apply?
So the Youth Hostels Association is very much in favour of the proposal, as you'd expect. Its chief executive, James Blake, said it highlights the fact that we have lost sight of the importance of our landscapes in the lives of young people. So he says ensuring every child has a residential stay in a park is a bold ambition, but an achievable one, because he talks about sort of the mental health effects of being outdoors and things like that. The YHA is going to focus on increasing access over the next 10 years and working closely with schools to make sure every child gets this experience, not just some, like literally every child.
Lovely. That's so nice. That's so nice. Yeah, the mental health aspect. I'm sure I read a few months ago that health services in Scotland were prescribing nature walks. For mental health purposes. Using that as a therapeutic recommendation.
There's been
to get out.
I guess with social media you can kind of become reclusive.
And work. We're expected to work so many hours these days.
Inside.
So getting out. And if you live in a city and you work long hours, you might never get the chance because you'll have to get on a train or get in your car or do, go out and make plans to go and be in nature, which sometimes can just fall by the wayside. And I guess many children who grow up in the inner city might never see countryside landscapes.
And the story said as well, schools, they've got these parks on their doorstep, but they're not actually using them at the moment. And there was a lot of children who lived really close by, but they still hadn't gone.
Wow.
So it's just like getting that message out, like go do it.
I think you can take things for granted that are on your doorstep.
There's been so many studies about like the effects of nature on people. There was one, there's a prison in the US that had, just by chance, one side of the prison had a car park, and the other side had like trees and fields. The inmates on both sides just showed massively different behaviour.
Wow.
And the behaviour was better on the side where they looked over onto trees. Just that simple fact, and it was completely random because they had no idea this was a thing.
I imagine it's pretty calming.
So now we're going to look ahead at what's coming next. Millennium Point Charitable Trust is offering a full undergraduate scholarship at Birmingham City University, which is very exciting. Yes. You can tell us more, Charlie.
Absolutely. So Millennium Point Charitable Trust, as you said, are offering a full scholarship for an undergraduate at Birmingham City University. It is directed specifically at the Faculty of Computing, Engineering and the Built Environment. So a student would have to be applying for an undergraduate degree there. The student must also be from the West Midlands region. So it is region specific at this point. And the entries are also particularly encouraged from underrepresented groups. So anyone from the LGBTQ+ community, anyone from BAME background, and also those from disadvantaged backgrounds. So the faculty covers around 29 different courses. So students can apply for any of those courses to be eligible for the scholarship. And they range from things like civil engineering to anything like video game creation, design and film production too. Cool. So there's a really big range there. The idea is to connect with emerging talent. So Rebecca Delmore, who is the commercial director at Millennium Point Charitable Trust, said that they want to connect with particularly those in our more marginalised communities and offer up a life-changing opportunity to an outstanding and worthy recipient. So it would be hopefully a really good career start for anyone looking to get into these industries. Yeah, and we've been talking about the cost of university so far. This could really, really help someone who has the talent and has the drive to do one of these courses, but just maybe is struggling a little bit financially.
Yeah, it's good to see that there is a response to the need.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, it could go a long way for the region to develop their tech talent. I think it would be great to see I know they're vastly different systems, but it would be great to see the UK develop a stronger scholarship system like we see in the US to help our growing financial issues.
I do think there are misdirected funds sometimes at unis. I know for myself, like receiving a free flask, when there could be free textbooks.
Yeah,
that
for
kind
sure.
of thing.
Yeah, it is an interesting, it's like really complex landscape. But this is a great start. So applications are already open, and they're open until the 31st of January 2020. And we do have all the information on the ET website. So if you are interested or know a student that could really benefit from this, go online and check them out. It's a really valuable course.
Amazing.
Scholarships are increasing, I think.
They are.
I think they have in the right direction.
Yeah. Especially with the skills gap, there's a lot of support in STEM specifically, I think, at the moment as well. And especially for those from underrepresented groups, to try and level the playing field a little bit, which is great to see.
And very quickly, we can just talk about the first AI university that's going to open in Abu Dhabi.
Yes, another exciting development in HE. So, as you just said, as you very rightly said, there is the world's first graduate level research-based AI university is opening in Abu Dhabi. Registration is set to open in August 2020, with the first cohort commencing their work in September 2020. So coming next year, it is called the Mohammed bin Zayed University of Artificial Intelligence, and it is named after His Highness, excuse me for my pronunciation here, I'll try my best. It's named after His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. So he's Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi. And it will offer graduate level courses, so it will offer MScs and PhD level programs. And another great thing about it is that supervision of PhD students will happen in partnership with the Institute of Artificial Intelligence in Abu Dhabi. So there'll be some industry support there as well, which is great for talent pipeline. And excitingly, all admitted students will be offered a full scholarship.
Oh, wow.
They will also be offered monthly benefits, including an allowance, health insurance, and accommodation.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so it really is a phenomenal move in HE.
And is it for international students? Can anyone apply?
That is an excellent question, and I'm not entirely sure of the answer to it.
We will wait and see.
We'll wait and see. As far as I'm aware, it's open to anyone who has the undergraduate prerequisites to be able to take on a graduate level course. And it covers things like machine learning, computer vision, and natural language processing.
Right.
So all really interesting areas of AI that are skyrocketing right now.
And that's going to make them skyrocket even more.
Absolutely. So applications I think are already open on the university's website, so students can go along there and have a nose around and have a look to see what's available. But an incredible move for AI and an incredible move for HE as well.
Yeah, because we don't really learn about AI in education at the moment, do we?
No, I think it's coming in a lot more.
Yeah.
I mean, was it last year or the year before, here in the UK, the Institute for Ethical AI was opened. And that was a collaboration between a few academics in the UK, including UCL's Educate programme and the University of Buckingham. So Professor Rose Luckin at UCL, she works a lot on AI and ethics. And she combined with Sir Anthony Selden, who's the VC of the University of Buckingham, and is a published author about AI and does a lot of research. And they opened the Ethical Institute for AI. So it's definitely a topic that is growing and in popularity and in relevance as well at the moment. So yeah, I'm excited to see what comes of it.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great place to end this podcast. If anyone would like to continue the conversation, we've got the details for you now.
Yeah, so if you'd like to follow up on any of the stories you've heard today about education technology, our website is edtechnology.co.uk. And if you'd like to continue the conversation, any of the conversations with peers and experts in the EdTech field, you can also head over to LinkedIn, where we have a private members only group. So if you just search Education Technology, the conversation on LinkedIn, you can get access to the group there.
So for University Business, just visit us online at universitybusiness.co.uk or send tweets to @UB_UK, or visit our private members only group on LinkedIn, Higher Education, The Conversation, or email me direct if you'd like to pick up on this story at kathy.parnham@wildfirecoms.co.uk.
And for independent education, it's ie-today.co.uk. And LinkedIn, it's Independent Education Today The Conversation, or tweet me or email me.
Wonderful. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.